Take voices and make them awesome.
I have been a voice actor for 20 years, and most of the time I work in a booth by myself. But when I did Star Wars The Clone Wars, we were together every chance we got, the whole cast. And there was nothing like it. So it was sort of like recording an old school radio play. We would do each scene 3 times. If Dave Filoni, the director, was happy, we moved on to the next scene. We did that 3 times, and then finished the show.
So you actually got to record it with them in the room with you? So you went back and forth with them?
Yes.
That's got to be a treat.
Yes. So James Arnold Taylor, Ashley Eckstein, Matt Lanter, D. Bradley Baker, who am I forgetting? I mean, like, Corey Burton was instrumental. He's amazing, as you might know. Count Dooku and Cad Bane. Who watched the new Cad Bane series? Did you check it out? Yeah, so awesome. And Sam Witwer is a lovely human being who plays Darth Maul, but we never got to record together because of his shooting schedule. So I got Corey Burton as my Darth Maul in every scene that we were in together. So we would cover each other when the other person wasn't available.
That makes sense. And so, do you find it easier to be able to play off them when you're doing it, or do you just kind of, you get in your box and just go, you say, I know where I'm taking this scene and I'm going to do it?
Easier, no. But as an actor, do you like to think of, doing a scene with someone, right, as a bouncing board, and acting is reacting. So that makes it different choices. You get to make different choices because if I'm talking to Obi-Wan Kenobi and he's getting quieter instead of louder, then that's going to affect my reaction. So we have to listen to each other and react to each other. Now, when you're in the booth by yourself as a voice actor, it's up to the directors and the writers to guide us and say, this is what this scene looks like. This is where you are, this is how far away you are, and this is how you're feeling about what's happening.
Do you ever get to have some recordings of what the other actors have done, or is it all just read it flat?
Yeah, so I have worked on shows that, we've already recorded your scene partner, so let's play them so that you can get to react to what they've done prior to you coming in. But otherwise, you're just trusting in your director to guide you, so to know that you're going the right direction. So I have a lot of scenes in Star Wars The Clone Wars with Jon Favreau, and he was not available to record with me as well. So Corey Burton was my Jon Favreau. So I recorded my lines first, and then I'm sure they did some playback for him and said, this is who you're talking to, and this is her intensity, and this is her proximity, and all those actor choices that we make.
That's excellent. So, and don't worry, we won't tell anyone.
Okay.
Who is your favorite director to work with?
Favorite director?
Yes.
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni.
Absolutely. So what I love about Dave Filoni, for those of you who don't know him, he did Star Wars The Clone Wars, but went on to do Star Wars Rebels and Andor and The Mandalorian, and is a fantastic executive producer as well. But what I like about him as a director is that he understands Star Wars, and he takes care of each of the characters and where they fit into the universe, how we affect each other, and he takes great care of it. It's like, it really is true. I know he says very often that George Lucas is the master and he is the Padawan, but he seriously treats it like that. And he's just so cool. You can talk to him about anything, especially Star Wars.
And it really shows in the final product and just the way that everything flows together. That's a great job with it. So, do you have any anecdotes that, things that have taken place that you're like, you know what, I cannot believe this, just, how did I get into this situation?
You mean in the character or me?
You personally, like you show up, I don't know, like, I'm picturing, okay, I'm coming here, oh, well, we're glad you showed up for this reading, get in this closet. We're gonna shut the door, it's an old abandoned building, maybe rusted walls.
So I think I forget that my job to other people would be a lot of things that a lot of you might find embarrassing to do or be asked of you. I have no shame as an actor, and I want to do what serves the voice creatively and be there. So Yeah, I mean, there's been some games that I've worked on where, you know, it's uncomfortable. Like they'll say, okay, so now you're being frozen from the inside out, so we need to hear your organs freeze first, and then it's this guttural throat freeze. And I'm like, okay, how am I gonna do that? You know, so then you have to create that noise. It's just, you're originating it, you're creating it from scratch. So you just have to be willing to play and open and available. But I can't tell you how many ways like I've died. Like I've died by, sorry kids, being eaten by animals and thrown off cliffs and burned and dismembered and things like that for video games, right? But it's actually lovely because you're in the booth and you're yelling and you're screaming and you get it all out. So it's, and then you walk away and you're like, I'm gonna go home and see my family and I'm okay. Like it's very cathartic and sort of therapeutic to be in a stressful situation as a character, but then be able to go be safe.
So when you're doing those kinds of things, obviously, I've never been frozen from the inside out.
What?
Hasn't happened yet. Hasn't happened
Well,
yet.
thank goodness.
Yeah. So how do you find when you get, how do you get yourself into the right mindset to say, okay, in this situation, you know, this I'm about to be attacked by this animal or whatever's coming out. How do you get yourself into the right mental state to develop that sound?
Well, so you have to think about where the character's coming from, what was your moment before, and where are you going? And am I only worried about myself, or like is my character just afraid of dying? So it might sound more fearful. If my character has important medicine or something that I'm delivering to someone in the next scene or the next part of the game, then I have to survive to go save my friend or go save somebody. So I have different motivation.
So you just take the motivation that the character would have and try to, it's important for you to make it here, so you just use something that...
Yeah, so then the attack, instead of becoming pure panic and sheer fear, maybe becomes, no, I have to get out of this and I am not gonna let you win. And it becomes a little more, I have the upper hand.
Excellent. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We're gonna open up to the floor. Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask?
Oh, sorry.
Just wondering, someone like me that has different voices that they like to do for just to make people laugh, because I imitate voices. And how would I go about getting into voice acting?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question was, how do you get into voice acting, especially if you love doing characters? The number one way you get into voice acting is acting. So take acting classes, take improv classes, learn how to think like an actor, and then you can even start taking voiceover specific classes. One of the great things about the pandemic is I feel like Los Angeles opened up to voice actors all over the country. So now I'm a voiceover coach as well, and I teach workshops, and I have students all over the world. And they are online studying to be voice actors, and that's the key, is acting. Voice acting is acting.
So as a voice acting coach, how would somebody find your program?
Sure, yeah. There's actually a really great website called voiceoverresourceguide.com. They have a list of classes that are available online or in person. Now, most of the in-person classes on that website are New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta. But for those who want online options, they totally exist. Yeah.
You have a follow-up to that?
Did that answer your question? Yeah, and it's so funny. I had this conversation with Corey Burton. You know him from Star Wars, but he's also, if you go to Disneyland, he's the voice of Disneyland. Like, he's the tram when you're riding in, he's the magic mirror, he's the haunted mansion. So what he always says about voice acting is it's not necessarily what you sound like, it's what you can do with your voice. And that's why I say becoming a better actor makes your characters better.
Now, once somebody's taken that step and they've gone through the classes and they're to a point of where they feel like they're ready to take that next step, how do they get themselves in front of someone who's actually going to call them?
Oh, sure. So I got all of my jobs I've gotten through my agent or my manager. I have a manager in New York, agent in Los Angeles, and they provide me with the audition opportunities. So I audition just like everybody else. And then the goal for any actor is to establish a relationship as being a reliable actor who, oh, I know if I bring Anna in to play this character, she's gonna do what I need her to do, and she's directable. And so that's what you want, is repeat business. So I have a lot of directors and writers who call me and just, you know, maybe I didn't audition for it, but they say, oh, I knew if I brought you in, you could do that. So that's the goal as a business person, is that you want to get invited back.
So ultimately, to get started, get yourself an agent, get yourself somebody who's going to help do it, and they're going to put your name in front of others. And then once you've had some under your belt, you're like, oh, I love working, and then kind of organically your word of mouth gets around and said, hey, you know, you do a great job.
Every voice actor has to have a demo, so you record a voiceover demo. That's like your business card, right? And make sure you're available and ready to go to work once you start handing that out.
Well, there you go. So get your demo, look see if you can find an agent, and get yourself ready to go.
Any other questions? Yeah.
You played the sister Jedi, right? Also.
Oh yeah, Tipley and Tiplar.
How was it when you had to all stay between the two of them and not like make sure you didn't mess up?
Make sure. Oh, do you mean like to sound different or? Yeah, sure. So I played Jedi Masters Tipley and Tiplar. They're twins, and we knew that one of them was going to be reaching their demise because Order 66 had kicked in. So one survived and one unfortunately did not. So it was my idea to give them an Irish accent, and I asked Dave if that was okay, and he said yes, 100%. So I made one sound a little bit more high-pitched and younger sounding, and then the other one had a raspier, deeper tone. So I had to separate them. But yeah, it's a lot of pressure when you're playing twins because you want to make them different but also the same. That's a great question.
Did you ever find yourself reading a line with the wrong voice?
No.
Just that good. Never happened.
Yeah, like when you're doing a scene by yourself or you're talking to yourself and you're switching back and forth, that can get tricky, but you know, take a book from Seth MacFarlane and just you gotta learn how to, okay, now I'm Brian, now I'm this, now I'm that, you know, you're switching back and forth.
So when you're doing that kind of recording, are you switching back the voices on the fly?
Yes, if your characters are talking to each other, yes.
You don't record one and then come back and record the other half?
No.
Okay, so you...
Yeah.
I always thought that you just cut and paste them.
You take a little pause and get into the mentality of the other character that you're talking to, but yeah, for the most part. Or if it's a video game, then yes, you do everything separately. So, and especially, like, I'll ask the director, okay, do you need this to sound different than the character we just met? Are they ever going to be in a scene together? And if they say yes, then I obviously make it sound completely different so that you can differentiate the people.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Hi, what's the most impactful scene that you've had to record voiceover for?
The most what?
Impactful.
Oh, well, can I give a spoiler alert? You should have all seen the Clone Wars if you like it. So the death of Duchess Satine was the most impactful thing I've ever recorded. Because I spent the most time with that character, I was emotionally connected to her, and I have a friendship and a relationship with all the actors that we worked on the show together. So I knew that day was coming long before anybody else did. And Dave Filoni said, you know, Duchess Satine is not going to make it. She's going to not be with us very much longer. And I said, what? What's going to happen? He said, well, we don't know. We're going to figure it out. So, okay. So one day I showed up to record a different character, And he said, oh, we know how we're gonna do it. We're gonna kill the Duchess of Teen. And I was like, okay, all right. So what happens? And he said, okay, Darth Maul is going to murder her to get revenge on Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I said, what? That's ridiculous. Dave, Darth Maul died in episode 1. They cut him in half. He is gone. He said, oh yeah. We're gonna bring him back. And I said, just to kill me? And he was like, no, we're bringing him back anyway. But isn't this the best revenge? And I said, yeah, it's really awesome. So then everybody that fall got a Clone Wars Darth Maul is coming back to life trailer, and everybody was like, yes, this is the best day ever. And I was just like, I don't like it.
Yeah,
it was a sad ending for me. And then when we had to record the day of her death scene, it was really sad. There was lots of hugging and tears, and actors are very empathetic and sympathetic people, so we were a mess.
That kind of comes with the territory because you're emotionally invested in the characters. Now, at that point, in a way, it's like, well, here's your pink slip. Thanks for all your time.
Thanks for showing up. Sorry you didn't make it to the next episode. Dave Filoni liked to bring me back though and kill my characters like Tiplee and Tiplar, right? So Tiplar didn't make it. Silky the Bounty Hunter is probably still out there. We don't know. But I played a fighter pilot in Star Wars Rebels, which was really cool. That was the first time you got to see X-Wings in the show. But I got shot down. And so it became kind of a running joke that my characters just always got killed. So I said, Dave, anytime you need somebody to just come and die, I'm here for you.
Here's your red shirt.
I will be your fall girl.
So, does it feel like a little vindictive at that point? Just like, we're gonna bring you on, we have a new character, you get 2 lines.
I mean, a little bit, but it's also so much fun. Are you gonna say no to 2 lines in Star Wars? Heck no! They brought me back as a Night Sister who possessed Sabine, who we ultimately know as Mandalorian as well, and Meredith Salinger got to possess Kanan, so that was a big deal. They selected us specifically for that reason. They thought that would be poetic for the actors who played Duchess Satine and Vera Safi to come and do that. But yeah, dying, but then coming back.
Well, you're good at it. That's
Thanks,
fantastic.
man. Thanks, Chris.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have 2 questions, but the first one I want to ask is, because you become so emotionally invested in these characters, like you have to get into the mindset like you are that character. Have you ever found it difficult when you go about your normal day, like to separate the emotions of yourself versus what you were just going through and what you were just living as a different character?
A little bit, but no, because you have to separate yourself. You have to separate it, you know what I mean? And so that you can continue on. Like, if I just screamed my head off in Dishonored because my character got eaten by rats, I'm feeling pretty good on the drive home. Like, I'm okay. I'm okay. Like, I don't go home and I'm like, I can still feel the rats. It's not like that. But yeah, you sort of have to separate yourself. But like I said, if you're playing a character that you're emotionally invested in, yeah, sure. Like, do I still have moments where, or somebody says something to me about Duchess Satine? Do I get sad? Yeah.
So, for what I understand, what I'm hearing on that is typically after you've done a scene, after you've done that, it's more of a release of the emotions rather than a connection.
It's more of a release of it, and then it's not really your problem anymore. You have created this character which is out there to live. So I think it's our job as artists and creators to make entertaining things for the world, because that's our escape. That's our fandom, that's our friends. We get together, we watch these shows together, we play these games together. And so by getting to create a vocal performance of a character, it feels, I don't want to say important, because I'm not saying I'm important. It feels like someone's entrusting you with something larger than yourself. So there's a lot of people that work on these shows and these games, animators, directors, editors, producers, musicians, just like storyboards, So you're just a small part of it, but you are breathing life into a character that so many people have spent a lot of time on.
And even though you're just a small part of that, it, like you said, it's something bigger than you, and not just bigger than you in the sense that there's a lot of pieces and parts, but it impacts so many people in so many ways, and you get the emotional investments. People get to go through and live the stories that you're a part of.
Yeah, it feels nice. It feels nice to do that. There was, just for example, even though Satine's ending is very sad, I feel like we brought people together. So about 8 years ago in Salt Lake City, there was this couple they were Mandalorian mercs. I saw my Mandos walking around, by the way. I'm gonna come find you later. So the guy, he dressed up like Obi-Wan Kenobi, and she was Duchess Satine, and they met at a party, one of the Mando merc parties. They fell in love, and they wanted to get married, and they started reaching out to me on social media. Oh my God, I wish you could be at our wedding. I wish you could be at our wedding. And then I was like, oh, that was sweet. And then she said, oh, I wish you could officiate our wedding. You and Obi-Wan Kenobi could officiate our wedding. And I was like, what? For real? So I reached out to James Arnold Taylor and I said, so there's this lovely couple online that have been reaching out to me and they want to know if we'll officiate their wedding. He said, is it a real wedding? I said, I don't know, but I've officiated a real wedding before. Like, you can get that license for 24 hours. I said, we'll have to find out. It wasn't a real wedding. They had already been married, but they wanted to have a huge cosplay wedding at FanX with all their cosplay family. And they wanted James and I to do that. So not only did we show up and officiate the wedding, we got Henry Gilroy, the writer from the Clone Wars, to write a special marriage ceremony between a Jedi and a Mandalorian. And James did the officiating as the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I was the Duchess Satine. And till death do they part, they kissed, and they are married.
That's amazing. So they actually had, at that point, they had a script written
they had a
for
script,
their wedding.
a special script, which we gave to them afterward, and they dressed as the characters, so they cosplayed as Obi-Wan and Satine, and there were 75 Mandalorian mercs and 5 of First. So as far as I am concerned, Duchess Satine and Obi-Wan are married.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
That is not canon, that is my belief.
It's your canon.
Correct.
And you had another one?
I was just, again, kind of mixing your normal everyday with the characters. Do you ever find yourself thinking in a character's voice instead of your own voice?
Sorry, I see my husband back there nodding. Yes. So I, unfortunately for my family and friends, do voices a lot. And my cat, right? It's okay. It's okay, my people. It's okay. So I just do voices and characters and accents, and I'm always trying on new things, and I give my dogs and cats voices, and yeah, sure, yeah. And I love reading, like when my kids were little, that was my favorite, was reading all the Harry Potter books to them. I can do every Harry Potter character. So that's, yeah.
You know, that makes me think, when did you first start? Were you like, as soon as I'm 2 years old and I'm speaking in separate different voices, like how did that progress for you?
So when I was a kid in the 80s, Chris, we had something called a tape player, and we had a Fisher-Price recorder, and I friggin' loved that thing, and I carried it around with me, and I listened to books on tape, and I listened to songs, but I also had my own tapes, and I would record my voice with a little microphone. So I started making fake commercials and fake songs and fake characters when I was quite little. So looking back on it, I think it was kind of already meant to be. So you never know. Be creative in any way that you can be, because it can affect you when you become an adult and realize that you could do that for a job.
And love what you do.
And love what you do. There's a question right here.
Yes.
Okay, so with a lot of the like book series or movie series that I really like, sometimes like I'll be really sad because it's not actually real, and you know, I'm like, why can't this be real? Why can't I be in this world? Do you ever feel like that? Like,
So that's a great question. Yes. So I think what's so great about books and games and movies is that we can revisit those worlds. And if you're a creative person who wants the story to continue or wants a certain aspect of that world to continue, there's so many comic book artists and authors who have continued to write stories set in that world. And I think that's what's so great about creativity, right? But yeah, I mean, do I wish that our world had magical pools of water and more waterfalls and I could float? Heck yeah. So I think that's the fun part of creating, is that we get to create the world that we're escaping into, and lovely. Yeah.
And at that point, you can live that through in your mind, and you can experience those things. You can experience that magical pool in your imagination, and working with other talented people, and being able to bring that to life for other people to share. In a way, it does make it real.
Have you ever seen The Never-Ending Story?
I'm not sure.
It's a pretty
Before her
good.
time.
It's a pretty good movie. We just watched it again with my son. It's a little sad, but it's also really happy, and it's a fantasy about a boy who is reading a book about another world. And you'll have to see the movie to find out what happens to him. But it's kind of like what you're talking about.
It's good. All right. Any other questions? Nope.
Ghostface.
Yeah, let's just say you're in a world where the odds are always against you. You feel like no matter what you do, you're always going to be put down by things around you. Do you know any way to suppress those feelings or even overcome them?
Sure. So when you're feeling hopeless and feeling like things are not going your way, friends and doing things that make you happy. And I think, if you're not finding it, you just kind of keep looking for it. Whether it's through, also, I'm a big creative person, so music can affect my mood or make me feel hopeful or make me feel different than how I'm feeling. But definitely friends, community, and just discovering more about yourself, what you like and what you want.
Yeah, and knowing that you can be who you are, even if you're different than those around you. It's our individuality that makes us special. And music, maybe get yourself a playlist of things that make you feel good. And anytime you're starting to feel that way, just put on that happy play mix. And that way you can reinforce that. And take some time to think about the things you're thankful for. Remember there are a lot of good things that we miss because we get caught up in the moment of the things that aren't so good. So if you can surround yourself with good friends and good family and those who are going to encourage you, and separate yourself from those who are going to talk down to you. And sometimes disconnect, because there's a lot of negativity out there on the phones too.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, so I've been told that there's a question that you only had one question. He only has.
I got to tell a story. So my husband hears a lot of my stories, I don't know, over and over again, because sometimes they get asked similar questions. But I asked him, I'm sorry, if you hear me say the same things? And he's like, no, I like it. It's good. So you hear your spouse's stories or your partner's stories a lot over the years, and that's part of what makes them them.
Now I'm asking a question. Now, does that story ever change? And it's consistent? Now, we're being honest. She's not here right now. You can tell me. It's just you and me.
Can I just say, the story he's talking about is the Darth Maul coming back to kill me story. I just told that story to Chris McKay, the director of Lego Batman and the Lego Movie. He loved it. He loved it. He laughed. I told it twice that night, to his animators and puppeteers, and then to him. But both groups liked it, and that's why I turned to him and I said, I'm so sorry you had to hear that story twice.
Now, does If I understand correctly, he's in cinematography.
Yes, he is. My husband and I have been together for 25 years this year, our 25th anniversary, thank you. And we actually met in high school doing our film, TV production, theater program. So we're originally from Memphis, Tennessee. We go back to Memphis and do workshops with the teenagers there. So he teaches cinematography classes, I teach voiceover classes. So I think for our young people and for our adults who want to change or do something creative, just find out what workshops are available, find out who's teaching in your area. And I think supporting, we were able to come out and teach for them because they brought us out on an artist grant. So I think educators and the city needs to, provide those things.
So he has to put up with your voices.
He does.
And always
he does.
changing. What is it about living with somebody in cinematography that you find is that the rest of us don't
Annoying.
have to put up? I mean, I was.
He takes a lot of pictures. So what's funny about me is I love acting and I love being on stage, but I hate being in front of the camera. So that was one of the things I discovered about myself as an actor, as I was trying to discover what kind of actor I wanted to be. I was very uncomfortable when the camera was in my face. It made me feel self-conscious. But I don't feel like that in front of the microphone. So when he's taking a lot of pictures of me, I'm just like...
So I'm also just in small acting. I haven't quite got to your level yet, but we'll get there.
Keep
So what I found is when I am another character, I put that that character on, then I get to be in some ways more me in there. I'm more comfortable and more outgoing. Do you find that to be the case when you're recording?
Well, I think it's just if your character you're playing has confidence, if your character you're playing has a specific goal, I think we as humans don't always know what we want, and we're not always courageous, and we're not always confident. So if you're playing a character that knows what they want and is confident, it's like putting on those favorite pair of pants that you just know you look good in. You're like, yes, this is the day. And that's the same thing with those characters.
I think that's a good way to put about it. And on the other side of that, do you find if you're playing a character that is perhaps a little less confident, that you feel you can express yourself through that character?
Sure, so if you're playing a character that's less confident, then that means you're being vulnerable and you're letting people hear or see your vulnerability and that side of you that is uncomfortable or shy, which I also am, believe it or not. So if I'm, talking here, like I feel good, but if somebody catches me off guard and I'm one-on-one, my face will turn red. Because I do have moments of being shy. So yeah, I think we're all complicated beings.
And here you know what we're here for, whereas in those moments you're kind of caught off guard.
Right. Yeah, it's a surprise. So I think, but I think as an actor you have to be willing to roll with the punches, so to say. And that's why improv classes come in handy.
Now, do you ever find yourself recording something and going back and listening to it? It's gone to production, it's done, and you say, why didn't I just do this instead?
A little bit, yes, because we're always judging ourselves. We're constantly saying, oh man, I could have been better, or I disagree with that. But I think that's part of also becoming comfortable with yourself as a performer, saying, well, that was the choice I made, that was the choice that the editor and the director made to use that take, and it's out of your hands.
And that applies to general life as well.
Yeah.
When you don't get too over.
Well, you only have control over what you have control over. So, especially when something's a collaboration,
Oh, it's just a small piece.
Yeah, small piece.
Any other thoughts? Any other questions? Is there anything else that you'd like to, as to make sure that you say, look, I came here, this is the one thing I want to make sure that you guys take away from this?
Don't pressure me, Chris.
That's my job.
I think we said a lot today, but I just want to say thank you so much for having me out. This is awesome. I think this event is awesome and bringing your community together, and also people who drove from far away to come to this. Like this is something that I think could grow in the years to come and be lovely and beautiful, and have more of us actors and performers out here to talk to you guys about what we do, because I do feel very isolated in my job because I do it in a vocal booth. So to come out here and talk to you guys and meet you and have you show any amount of appreciation for the work that I've done, it really is just lovely. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
By the way, I like your shoes.
Oh, thank you so much. They're like kind of roses, but kind of smoke.
Yeah,
And then I have a star on the back of my socks for Star Wars.
that's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.